Have you ever felt it? A subtle pull, a quiet draining of your energy, a sense that the vessel of your life is leaking, but you cannot find the source of the leak. Our lives are not unlike a river. When the channel is clear, the water flows with purpose and strength. But sometimes other currents try to divert our path. Sometimes others cast stones into our stream, not out of malice, but out of their own thirst, their own emptiness. And without awareness, our river becomes slow, murky, and heavy. This is a familiar feeling in the modern world. It is the weight of unspoken demands, the burden of energies that are not our own. Ancient wisdom does not teach us to build dams against the world. It teaches us discernment. It teaches us to become the guardians of our own sacred river. So I invite you, not to a lesson, but to a quiet moment of looking within. I invite you to walk the banks of your own inner river. Let us observe the currents. Let us understand what nourishes our flow and what makes it stagnant. This is not a practice of building walls. It is a practice of knowing your own nature so deeply that you no longer mistake another's river for your own. Let us begin. 1. The practice of the unburdened heart. You have walked a long path to arrive here. A path paved with struggle, with silence, with moments of breaking open. Imagine yourself as a great mountain. You have withstood storms and seasons. Your strength is in your stillness, in your deep, rooted presence. Now see those around you. Some will come to the mountain for shelter. This is natural. But others will arrive and attempt to place their own boulders upon your slopes. They do not see the mountain. They see a place to discard their unresolved chaos. In my tradition, we understand that true growth requires shedding what no longer belongs to the journey. This means stepping away from those who mistake your compassion for an obligation. They expect you to carry emotional loads that were never yours. You are not a repository for another's emotional debris. You are not a lifeline for those who refuse to learn to swim. There are souls who will reach for you each time they feel themselves sinking, yet never take a single lesson in how to float. Understand their true need. They do not seek healing. They seek a temporary escape. They do not want to change the course of their own river. They want the comfort of resting in yours. But this comfort comes at a great cost. Your peace, your clarity, and your own forward momentum. When you are constantly pulling others from their self-made waters, you abandon the stewardship of your own. It is not selfishness to step back. It is the highest honor you can pay to your own path. Some will not ask for your energy directly. They will weave it from you with threads of guilt. They will speak of loyalty, of past deeds, of how your need for stillness is a sign of coldness. But guilt is a silent phantom. It is a form of control dressed in the robes of responsibility. Ancient teachings warn us of projection, how others cast their unhealed shadows onto us, then demand we mend what was never ours to begin with. The moment a connection feels like a chain, a contract, or a debt, it is no longer flowing. It has become stagnant. It has become control. And control is the opposite of the free, flowing energy of the heart. There will also be people who do not value your presence, only your availability. They want your time, but not the truth that lives within you. They are drawn to your usefulness, not your soul. They appear when the tides are in their favor and vanish. When you seek a deep and quiet harbor, the more predictable your offering becomes, the less it is seen. Your time is a sacred container. Every moment given to energies that drain you is a moment taken from your purpose. Choose silence over shallow noise. Choose stillness over hollow performance. You owe no one an explanation for honoring the sacred vessel of your own energy. Perhaps the most subtle demand is the one that asks you to dim your own light, to make yourself smaller so that others do not feel their own insecurity, to dilute your joy so another can feel at ease in their own shadows. But your happiness is not an act of aggression. Your peace is not an act of arrogance. You are not responsible for another's discomfort in the presence of your own unfolding. The souls who are meant to walk beside you will not ask you to choose between their comfort and your self-respect. They will not ask you to remain still so they do not have to move. They will evolve with you, not resent you for flowing onward. Wisdom is learning when to walk away, not from a place of bitterness, but from a deep, quiet understanding that your energy is your sacred responsibility. You were not born to carry the weight of every unhealed wound in the world. You were born to become whole, and that wholeness requires clear boundaries, profound clarity, and immense courage. Let this be your inner mantra. I release what is not mine to carry. Affirm it in your heart. You are ready to protect your peace. You are ready to honor the great distance you have traveled. Your journey deserves lightness, not burdens. 2. The practice of energetic integrity. Saying yes to a problem that does not belong to you may feel noble. It has the appearance of compassion. But over time, it silently turns you into the caretaker of another's garden, while your own goes untended. You are unpaid, unseen, and deeply exhausted. What begins as a small gesture of support can quickly grow into a one-sided flow of energy. You begin to carry emotional burdens not meant for your vessel. And while the other person feels lighter, you become heavier, denser. This is not a flow of love. This is a quiet abandonment of the self. In many relationships, especially those built on a foundation of emotional dependence, others learn to use guilt as a tool to transfer their pain. They do not ask directly, but their sigh, their tone, the words, "You are the only one who understands," all place a subtle weight upon you. They make you feel responsible for their healing. But you are not. You were never meant to be the solution to another's avoidance of their own inner work. Carrying what is not yours leads to a fire within that burns out. It leads to resentment. It leads to a slow disconnection from the compass of your own heart. Think of the times you stayed listening for too long, gave up your own rest, or absorbed another's crisis just to maintain a fragile peace. That is not compassion. It is a pattern. And that pattern teaches others to expect your energy, not to honor it. An ancient saying reminds us, "You are what you do, not what you say you will do." If what you consistently do is over, extend yourself for others while neglecting your own path. You begin to live a life that is a reflection of others, not an expression of your soul. The modern world often romanticizes this form of selflessness. It uses words of unwavering loyalty, of showing up no matter the cost. But at what cost? If showing up for another always means walking away from yourself, the relationship has lost its balance. And a connection that is out of balance is not a flow of love. It is a form of energetic servitude. You may find yourself in a state of quiet suffering. Tired? Not from weakness, but because your life force has been flowing in the wrong direction for too long. This energetic misalignment often goes unnoticed until the body begins to speak. It speaks in fatigue, in tension, in frustration, in a deep sense of being out of tune with your own life. These are not random signals. They are the clear voice of your inner self, telling you that your energy is being spent where it does not belong. The remedy is not to give more. The remedy is to draw back. When you refuse to carry what is not yours, you are not being unkind. You are practicing energetic integrity. You are reclaiming the sacred space required for your own roots to grow deep. Saying no does not make your heart hard. It makes your intention clear. It tells the universe that you are ready to stop being a dumping ground for the emotional clutter of others. It tells your innermost being that you are worthy of preservation. And when you begin to protect your energy as if it is sacred, which it is, everything shifts. The people who only stayed because you carried their weight for them will slowly fade away. And those who honor your sacred ground will remain. This is how you know the healing has begun. Are you ready to stop carrying what was never yours to hold? If so, affirm this in the silence of your heart. I release what is not mine. Reclaim your peace. Reclaim your energy. 3. The path of clear exchange. Lending resources out of a feeling of guilt is one of the quietest traps on the spiritual path. It is easy to enter and very difficult to exit. It begins simply, a small favor, a little help, but soon it can become a repeating cycle. Not because the need is real, but because the expectation has taken root. What you offered as a gesture of compassion has slowly hardened into an unspoken contract you never intended to sign. Often, this happens with those closest to us: family, old friends. They know the channels to your heart. They know which currents of guilt to stir. And suddenly, saying no is not about the resource itself. It is about your identity as a good person, a loving child, a supportive friend. Guilt coils around you, a serpent disguised as love. But true kindness does not flow from a sacrifice that leaves you empty. It does not demand that you abandon your own stability to rescue another from the consequences of their choices. When a person repeatedly asks for material support, especially without any visible effort to change or take responsibility, it is rarely about the material. It is about access. Access to your energy, your time, and your sense of obligation. It is often powered by manipulation. The silent threat of their disappointment, the dramatic retelling of their struggles, the subtle reminders of what they believe you owe them. These are not requests, they are quiet demands. Ancient wisdom teaches that humans will do almost anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid looking into their own soul. This includes offloading the responsibility for their life onto those who are too compassionate to refuse. When you give from a place of guilt, you are not just offering a resource, you are enabling avoidance. You are allowing another to postpone their own journey of growth, while you carry the weight of their choices. And that weight accumulates energetically, mentally, spiritually. It begins to affect your rest, your focus, your own sense of inner safety. You may feel resentment building, yet you feel trapped and remain silent. And then, when you finally find the strength to say no, the illusion shatters, the mask drops. You are labeled as selfish, cold, or ungrateful. Not because you have done wrong, but because you have broken the cycle. You have removed the convenience. And those who relied on your guilt do not respond well to clear boundaries. They may lash out, not because you are wrong, but because you are no longer useful in the way they had become accustomed to. But your energy is not a currency to be spent on emotional debts. Your life is not a rescue mission for those unwilling to grow. True love respects limits. True connection honors mutual flow. If someone's affection is present only when you say yes, then that affection is a performance, not a truth from the heart. Protect your peace. Learn to say no without a long explanation. And remember this distinction: helping someone does not mean saving them. You can offer a hand without surrendering your own ground. You can care deeply from your heart and still walk away, because your energy is sacred. Your stability is not a gift to be traded for validation or approval, and your peace is worth more than anyone else's temporary comfort. If this wisdom resonates with your spirit, repeat this quietly to yourself. I protect my peace and I value my boundaries. I no longer feel guilty for saying no. Let this be your declaration of freedom. 4. The path of the still center. Sometimes the greatest act of love is to refuse to be pulled into another storm, especially when that storm is a conflict rooted deep in a family's history. Disputes over inheritance, wounds from childhood that never healed, toxic loops of loyalty passed down from one generation to the next. You are not here to be the peace treaty for people who are committed to misunderstanding one another. You are not here to be the healer of wounds you did not create. The unlived lives of our ancestors often become the silent burdens of their children, and in many families, that burden manifests as emotional blackmail disguised as duty. You are asked to fix what others broke, to carry the weight of dysfunction simply because you were born into that energetic field. But just because it is family does not mean it is your responsibility to repair. When someone expects you to take a side in a battle that was never yours, what they are truly asking is for you to sacrifice your clarity for their chaos. They may disguise it as a plea for help. Just talk to them for me. Or, you are the only one they will listen to. But underneath, it is often a trap, a setup that places you at the center of the blame the moment their fragile peace crumbles. These entanglements rarely bring resolution. They bring with them silent expectations, twisted loyalties, and the slow erosion of your own sacred ground. The truth is, Most people in these situations do not seek resolution, they seek validation for their pain. And if you offer your presence, they will drain your spirit to feed their narrative. You must understand this. Protecting your peace is not a betrayal. It is a profound act of survival. To remain emotionally neutral does not make you heartless. It makes you wise. Because love that demands you participate in dysfunction is not love. It is control. You can wish someone well from a distance. You can hold hope for their healing in your heart and still refuse to be the glue holding broken pieces together. Your energy is sacred. And when you allow guilt to override your intuition, you surrender that energy to battles that do not deserve it. Choosing to keep a distance from family conflict is not an act of cruelty. It is an act of clarity. Not everyone has earned the right to access your emotional space. You do not need to apologize for refusing to be the messenger, the mediator, or the martyr. In fact, refusing to play these roles may be the most powerful teaching you can offer. Some people only begin to look at their own wounds when they lose the one who was always trying to fix things for them. You owe no one your inner peace. Let them misunderstand you. Let them call you selfish. Let their words be like wind passing through the trees. Silence, in this case, is protection. You are not here to be consumed by inherited pain. You are not here to be a cushion for unresolved tension. You are here to grow, to breathe, to live, free from the constant noise of other people's projections. So the next time anyone tries to pull you onto their emotional battlefield, I invite you to ask this simple, quiet question: is this mine to carry? And if it is not, gently set it down and walk away, not in anger, but in wisdom. Because your peace is not a gift you hand over to people who have not even earned your presence. It is a boundary, and you have every right to protect it. 5. The practice of unwavering light. There are people who will ask you to change your very essence, the way you are, your daily rituals, the tone of your voice, the core of what you believe. They ask you to do this simply to make them more comfortable. This is not a request for harmony. It is a quiet form of emotional manipulation. And when this pressure comes from those you hold dear, perhaps even your own children, the pain is different. It touches a deeper place, a place where many believe they owe others their silence, their compliance, their constant sacrifice. But this belief, though common, is a dangerous illusion. You are not meant to vanish into the roles others have assigned you. You are here to live your truth fully and without apology. When someone pressures you to tone it down, what they are truly saying is, I prefer you smaller, I prefer you edited for my comfort. That is a form of emotional invalidation. It is a subtle rejection that does not shout, but erodes. It whispers that your way of being, your beliefs, your very presence is somehow too much. Over time, if you absorb these messages, you begin to erase yourself. You start to second guess the things that once brought you joy. You begin to apologize for simply being, and that is not the life you fought so hard to reclaim. I remember a woman named Maria. She used to wear colorful scarves, play folk music in her home, and guide meditations. But after her daughter told her she was embarrassing and needed to act her age, Maria stopped. She muted her colors. She silenced her joy. She thought she was being a good mother by disappearing a little bit each day. Years passed. Her energy dimmed. Her spirit wilted. Until one day, she looked in the mirror and asked the powerful question, who have I become? That moment was her turning point. She chose herself again. She remembered that her uniqueness was not a flaw, it was her gift. The people who ask you to change who you are have often not accepted who they are. Their discomfort is a mirror reflecting their own inner conflicts. Do not carry that mirror for them. Do not bleed yourself dry trying to win an approval that is conditional. You are not here to please, you are here to be. An old wisdom says, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And that privilege is sacred, so protect your sacred self. Refuse to apologize for your evolution. Refuse to accommodate those who only love the version of you that stayed silent, agreeable, and small. You do not need to shrink to keep the peace. You do not need to dull your light to make others feel safe in their own shadows. Let them adjust their eyes or let them walk away, but you must stay whole. If this message resonates deep in your soul, affirm it now. I honor who I am without apology. Let this be a silent declaration that you are no longer shrinking for the comfort of others. Your truth deserves to be seen and celebrated. 6. Discerning the unspoken flow. We have spoken of the obvious currents that pull at us. Now, we must look deeper into the subtle eddies and undercurrents. For the most dangerous forms of energetic draining are not loud or aggressive. They are hidden, often masked by smiles and polite words. To truly protect your peace, you must learn to discern the unspoken flow. Let us explore these subtle signs, not to foster suspicion, but to cultivate a profound clarity. Think of this not as a list of warnings, but as a practice in seeing what is truly there beyond the surface. First, observe the sound of sarcasm when it is used as a weapon. When someone close to you consistently masks cruelty as humor, it is not affection, it is contempt. These are not harmless jokes. They are precise little arrows, aimed directly at your insecurities. The words may sound light, but the energetic impact is heavy. You may laugh along, but deep down, your spirit feels a sting it cannot ignore. The phrase, "It was just a joke," becomes a shield they hide behind. But these jokes always land where you are most vulnerable: your dreams, your appearance, your deepest values. This is not random, it is targeted. When humor consistently makes you feel small or ashamed, it is no accident, it is a form of control. Sarcasm is a quiet way of dominating the emotional atmosphere, of keeping you off balance without ever appearing aggressive. The ancient teachings on the shadow, the parts of ourselves we deny, help us understand this. Sarcastic jabs often reveal more about the person speaking than the person receiving them. Behind a joke that cuts too deeply often lies a hidden envy, insecurity, or resentment. Instead of facing those feelings within themselves, they project them outward at you. And because it is wrapped in humor, you are made to feel guilty for even noticing. But your intuition does not lie. When your gut tightens, when your spirit dims in someone's presence, pay attention. The person who constantly teases you may be bleeding their shadow into your light. True connection uplifts. It does not hide daggers in laughter. Second, learn to see the pattern of subtle sabotage. They do not stab you in the back. They slice your spirit with tiny paper cuts you are told you should not feel. Again and again, they forget your important moments, your graduation, your birthday, your new project. When you seek encouragement, they fall silent. When you ask for advice, they offer suggestions that gently nudge you toward failure, always disguised as helpful concern. This is not forgetfulness. It is calculated, quiet sabotage, and they smile through it, making you doubt your own perceptions. They dress their neglect in politeness. "I totally meant to be there." Or, "I just had something come up." But a pattern emerges. The pattern whispers a truth your soul already knows. They do not truly support your rise. They may not say it, but their actions speak it. And their silence when you succeed. That silence is the loudest sound in the room. These people erode your confidence not with open criticism, but with an invisible weight. They give you lukewarm encouragement, just enough to appear supportive, but not enough to actually uplift. "Are you sure you're ready?" They ask, planting a seed of doubt. "You just got lucky." They say, minimizing your victory. It is death by 1,000 dismissals. This behavior stems from that shadow self. Rather than deal with their own feelings of jealousy or inadequacy, they project them sideways, undercutting you slowly in the hopes you will stumble, so they do not have to feel left behind. Real love does not ask you to dim. Real support does not vanish when you rise. Do not wait for proof. Their energy is the evidence. Third, you recognize the energy of silent competition. Every time you succeed, there is a flicker in their eyes, a pause that is too long, a shift in their energy field. They smile, but it feels like a mask. Because your success is not something they celebrate, it is something they measure themselves against. What you see as a personal victory, they secretly experience as a personal loss. Instead of cheering you on, they are mentally preparing their response. A story of their own success, a subtle one, upmanship, a quiet reminder that you are not getting ahead of them. This is not friendship. It is a silent, exhausting race you never agreed to enter. You start questioning yourself. Perhaps you are being too sensitive, but the ancient wisdom is clear. What irritates us in others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. And what irritates them about your growth reveals their own refusal to grow. Your confidence confronts their insecurity. Your ambition exposes their stillness. So they compete. You were never trying to race. You were just trying to become. And now you may be tempted to shrink, to water yourself down to keep this fragile peace. But that is not your duty. Your light is not a threat, it is a mirror. What they see in you is what they refuse to face in themselves. True friends do not compete, they co-create. They do not flinch at your light, they amplify it. Fourth, discern the feeling of superficial kindness. Their compliments sound sweet, but your gut twists. They say the right words. I'm so proud of you. But there is a hollow echo. The smile does not reach the eyes. This is not paranoia, it is your intuition reading energy. True kindness radiates warmth. It is felt in the heart. Superficial kindness is like being hugged by someone whose mind is 1,000 miles away. The energy does not match the words. The conversation feels scripted. Good job, they say, but their presence is absent. This is the shadow self in action. Envy dressed up in polite language. You leave conversations feeling confused, as if something does not add up. They may celebrate you publicly, but they are silent privately. They clap with the crowd, but you can feel the hesitation in their applause. Love never needs a script. It flows. Resentment, however, rehearses every word to appear clean. When kindness lacks soul, when support feels more like a strategy, it is not just awkward, it is toxic. Fifth, be aware of control disguised as care. Their words sound like wisdom, but the result is always the same. Your dreams get smaller. You speak your truth, and they nod with concern. That's risky, they say. Are you sure you're ready? And suddenly, you are doubting yourself. This is not love, it is control, wearing the mask of protection. People who cannot manage their own inner chaos often try to control others to create an illusion of safety. Their fear leaks outward, not as rage, but as soft, spoken warnings and logical arguments. And because they sound calm, you believe them. You internalize their fear as your own wisdom. Pay close attention, their concern always flows in one direction, away from your expansion. It is emotional scripting. You start to believe that dreaming big is dangerous. But real love will never stand in the way of your evolution. It will not cage you to feel secure. It walks beside you even when your path makes it uncomfortable. Sixth, observe the poison of gossip. They will not confront you directly. Instead, they chip away at your spirit with whispers. Their words move through social spaces like smoke, twisting your intentions, reshaping your story in the minds of others. You begin to wonder why the energy shifts when you enter a room. Why friends feel distant. This is the result of silent sabotage. They isolate you not by removing you, but by poisoning the perception others have of you. And they often frame their criticism as concern. I'm just worried about her, they say, while tearing apart your choices. Real care does not operate in the shadows. Real friends protect your name. They speak truth to your face, not to a crowd behind your back. What they say about you reveals what they feel about themselves. Seventh, feel the absence of joy in your success. They smiled when you were broken. They were present when you were struggling. But now that you are succeeding, they have vanished. That silence is not a coincidence. It is a message. When someone withdraws as you rise, it is often because your growth confronts their stagnation. They were comfortable as long as you were beside them, or even behind them. But your success now exposes their own stillness. Your happiness reminds them of their discontent. The congratulations become quieter. The responses feel forced. Silence in moments of your joy speaks louder than applause during your pain. When a heart is secretly competing, your success wounds them. And yet, they were always available when you were hurting. Their emotional withdrawal is not about boundaries, it is about bruised egos. Your progress is not an offense. Your happiness is not a betrayal. If they cannot clap when you win, they were never truly on your team. Eighth, and finally, trust the language of the body. Words can lie, but the body speaks truth. Their mouth says, "I'm happy for you," but their posture is stiff, their arms are crossed. Their smile is tight, their eyes look away. This is the unconscious mind revealing what the conscious mind tries to hide. That unease you feel is not paranoia. It is your body translating micro signals. Tension, delayed responses, shallow breathing, a forced energy. These are not accidental. They are the body's confession. Pay attention to the space between the words. That is where the truth lives. When someone says they are proud, but looks like they are in pain, listen to the look, not the sentence. Your body knows. Your intuition remembers. Your spirit feels every shift. You are not here to shrink for another's comfort. Thank you for walking this path of discernment with me. These signs are not meant for judgment, but for clarity. Trust your inner knowing. Protect your sacred peace. And never apologize for sensing what others try to hide. You deserve connections built on truth, on shared light, not on secret resentment. If this wisdom has served you, let it settle in your heart. May your own journey be guided by this clarity. Your energy is the most sacred thing you possess. Guard it with wisdom and love. Until we meet again, stay centered, stay clear, and stay true to the unwavering light within you.